Now in this video, we're going to be discussing CPA marketing using content lockers. So here's what we're going to be learning about today. What is content locking? How does content locking work? How to make money with it, including the best practices, how to send traffic to content lockers, which CPA networks support it, and finally stay tuned until the end of the video for some special bonus tips of making a lot more money with it than just the regular methods, and some final thoughts and advice, and as usual, lots of tips and tricks. All right, so what is content locking? So content locking is basically a piece of code that's put around a piece of content, and in order for you to unlock this content, you have to do some tasks. So maybe you have to enter your email, maybe you have to enter your address, or click on something, or do some kind of an action. And it really suits CPA perfectly because CPA is about action, right? It's not about purchasing something. That's why content locking is very, very popular. And so the user needs to complete an action to unlock the content. And then you get a commission, and then the user views the content. So it kind of works both ways. If the user wants to see the content or download the content or click on a link, maybe it's a piece of URL, the user basically needs to complete a task before doing so. And so it's very similar to some of the other methods of promoting CPA offers, such as surveys, sweepstakes, and email submits. So with the typical sweepstakes, you basically have to enter your email for a chance to win a sweepstakes. And we typically have surveys before that, or quizzes. And in this case, the user needs to do some kind of an action before they get access to the content that you're providing. And so we're going to cover all of that today. And so let me show you a quick flow how that works so that you have a better idea. And so you have a visitor. He basically, let's say he gets to your site from Google search, right? So we have a SEO traffic source. And so you have a website here, and let's say it's a regular blog or some kind of a content site or something like that. And the user is basically browsing a piece of content, right? Maybe a page or an article, reading an article. And they're reading it, they like what they're seeing, there's a lot of value. And then maybe somewhere in the middle of the content, you might have a document or a video or some kind of additional piece of content that's going to provide with them a lot more value than what they're reading, but it's also related to the content that they're reading. And so in this case, you basically set up a lock around that content, and for them to basically download this piece or view or do something with it, basically consume this piece of content, they need to complete an action. And this content could be a PDF document, a video, maybe a download, or a million other things. And so after that, they finally they complete the CPA offer, and you get the commission for it. So it works both ways. They get what they want, and you get what you want. It's you should look at it as a way of monetizing basically your additional piece of content. And if you think about it this way, everything going forward will make a lot more sense. Okay? And so let me give you an example, like a quick example. So I have a site here, and I have a basic article, right? I have a basic piece of content, and they're basically consuming it, right? This is a blog article. They're consuming this piece of content, and it's free, right? They can read it, they can learn, they can do whatever they want. And so later on in the middle, I say something like, interested in my in-depth resource about what kind of camera gear to get. And so they need to basically click this. They have to enter their email, and after that, they will be able to see the hidden content that I have. So it's not really about getting something delivered into with their email. It's about actually unlocking the text that's right on this web page. Okay, that's the way you have to look at it. And so I have some text here, or you can't obviously see it because it's hidden. But once you enter your email, this whole thing is going to be unlocked, and you will be able to consume and use this piece of text. Okay, and that's kind of how it works in a nutshell. And so creating the content for the locker. Now, the first thing, there are a lot of moving pieces here, right? The first thing that you need is the actual content to lock, right? And so there are a couple of approaches that you can take. The first is you basically create your own piece of content, okay? And this could be maybe a site, a blog, maybe even, you can't really have a YouTube channel, but it's got to be somewhere where you can control. So I recommend, a content site like a blog. And so like in my example. Another way of doing it is by purchasing content. So you can actually purchase content from these so-called PLR sites, and these are private label content sites, and you actually have the right to use this content and also monetize this content. So you have use rights and you have commercial rights, so you can do whatever you want with this content. And there's a lot of sites for this. So if you don't want to go out and create your own piece of content, you can purchase it. Basically, it's something called a private label content, which you can do whatever you want with it. You can integrate it into your site. You can purchase ebooks. You can purchase all kinds of things. And all you have to do is basically go on Google, search for private label content, PLR, and you will have access to a lot of sites that you could potentially download all kinds of content. So you can even download books, ebooks, videos, all kinds of stuff, so you never have to actually spend the time to do it yourself. Now, in my own example, I basically have the site ready, and so what my approach is slightly different, because I already have the site ready. I run many sites, and for me, creating this additional piece of content is a very trivial thing, because it's very easy. And the way I look at it is, I already have the content, I already have the blog, and what I want to do is I want to create an additional premium content, okay? Sort of like a lead magnet, right? I'm sure you've seen sites like this where you're browsing a blog article or something similar, and somewhere maybe inside the blog article, you are prompted for your email. Hey, enter your email and you're going to get this PDF guide or something like that. And that's kind of the way to think about content locking, is that you want to give them additional piece of content. And so let me give you some examples of the content that you can utilize, whether you're going to be creating this content or buying this content from a third party like a PLR site. And so you can create PDFs, you can create videos, you can create templates, fonts even, something called the LUT, which is a lookup table. If you're into videography, that's a very good option. Basically, it's a plugin that allows you to color grade your video footage. So if you have like a video blog or something that's applicable to people who are interested in videography, you can basically offer these LUTs for free only if they complete the action. You can also have cheats and codes if you have a gaming site, audio transcriptions. So let's say you have a blog article, and it's a long blog article, let's say 5,000 words or 3,000 words or something like that. And, the person can read the blog article, but they can also, download it in audio form. So they can listen to it, or they can watch the video of it or something like that. And that's a premium piece of content where they basically have to complete an action for that. So they have the free content, they can read the free content if they want, but if they want something extra, then you monetize that using a CPA content locking offer. So it makes sense, because it's ideal for both parties. They don't want to complete the offer, that's fine, they can just get the free content. If they want to complete the offer, then they have to complete this action, and you get a commission for it. Now, there are a couple of more things that we have to discuss. That is the traffic source and the networks that work in, where you're going to pick the offers. Now, there are networks that offer CPA content lockers, and then there are networks that do not offer it. And so you have to understand which networks offer it and which do not. So for instance, Max Bounty does not offer content lockers. They offer email submits, they offer a lot of other things, but they do not do content lockers. Now, the networks that do offer content lockers are, I have five networks here, but you could Google and find more networks. So some of the networks that I can recommend is CPAGrip, CPA Lead, AdWork Media, MG Cash, and Ascend Media. So for instance, one of the most popular networks that a lot of people use and say good things about is CPAGrip. And CPAGrip actually shows you how it does content locking right on the homepage. So here we are on the CPAGrip homepage, and if you scroll down, and on the left bottom side, you have the monetization tools. You click on that, and you have content locker, URL and file locker, video locker, offer wall, virtual currency, and all kinds of things. So it's not only content locker, it's basically a URL and file locker, right? If you're sharing a file, and you are, let's say you're publicly sharing it, and you give a link to somebody, it's great. They can download the file, but they need to complete the offer. Video locker, same thing. Complete a free survey below to unlock this video. So it even does a survey, but it works as a content locker. And then you have offer wall. Offer walls allow you to display the correct geo-targeted offers to your users, generally used with point rewards. Okay, so you have a wall, right? Another form of content locking. And then virtual currency. Our offer wall and offer feed platform can be leveraged in combination with our global multi-postback systems to allow you flexibility virtual currency. So it's the same thing basically. All of these are different ways of locking your content. And it's a really, it really depends which one of these methods you're going to be using for your own site, because maybe you have a piece of content, you want to use the content locker. Maybe you have a file download, you want to use the URL and file locker, right? Maybe you have some videos on your site. Like I mentioned, for instance, you have a blog article and you have the accompanying video, like maybe a YouTube video or something like that, or a video that a person can download. So you allow them to read the blog article, but if they want to watch the video, they have to unlock it. And same thing for offerable virtual currency. People can basically complete an action and get virtual currency that they can use it for special bonus stuff, right? So it's like a form of gamification. They do an offer, they get points, and then those points can be exchanged for something else. So it's a really solid system, if you ask me, because it's not a very hard thing to complete this offer, right? Completing this offer is not a very complicated thing. And in exchange, you give them some sort of a reward. Whereas before, it's for free, right? Free content, free video, free premium content. Now you can kind of separate the content that you have. All right, guys. So these are the networks that support it. I would recommend researching more, learning. You can start with CPA Lead, CPAGrip, which are both very good networks, and go from there. Now let's talk about traffic, right? You need traffic. Traffic is the fuel. If you don't have the traffic, you can't make any money. You can't promote any of these offers. And so content locking is a very kind of unique thing. So I personally would not do FB or Google Ads or even Bing to kind of get traffic for your content locking offers. I would not do it because, even if you create a bridge page and you just, put everything in the content locker, it's not going to look good when Facebook is going to be reviewing your ad or Google is going to be reviewing your ad, because they typically, FB and Google Ads, they want something more complete. They don't want very thin pieces of content, right? And especially content locking, right? When you're using content locking, I know a lot of people do this. They basically take something and they lock it. So don't even think about, doing some kind of file locking or video locking and promoting on FB ads or Google ads. I mean, worst case scenario, they will disable your account. Best case scenario, they might just disapprove your ad. But I would not do it. It's just not suitable for these traffic sources. Now, you might be able to use a third-party traffic source like, something with push traffic, propeller ads, or other networks, maybe even some native networks that could be compliant with, this kind of file locking and content locking thing. But, if you ask me, the best way to do it and the most compliant white hat of doing it is basically creating a site and creating a regular blog or a site, getting the traffic from via SEO, okay, and then putting content lockers on different pieces of the site. In my opinion, that is the best way to basically setting up these content lockers. And so, for instance, I have a site here where I'm basically, it's a basic site about vlogging, right? It has cameras review, gear reviews, things like that. And the best way of doing it, in my opinion, obviously it takes time and all that. And actually, it doesn't even have to take a lot of time. Now, SEO is going to take time. But if you actually create the site, put like, let's say 10 to 15 articles, so it doesn't appear a very thin site, you can actually promote the site using FB ads and Google ads because it's a real site. And then later on somewhere, let's say I have a long guide, right? So top 5 ways is not probably the best piece of content to content lock, because what you want to do is you want to have a long guide. Like, let's say the ultimate guide to vlogging or the ultimate guide to vlogging cameras, right? Where you can review like 10 cameras. Now, you'll write the article, you'll post the article and all that, and then somewhere in the middle you say, hey, do you want this thing in audio form, or do you want a PDF for this? Click here, and you will get the PDF, and then you can put your content locking offer there. Now, in my opinion, this is the best way of doing it. It's the most legit way of doing it. It's the most white hat way of doing it, because you have a real site, you have real content, so you're actually delivering value. And then you can actually advertise this on Facebook. So, using this diagram that we have, that site is automatically going to get Google search traffic, because Google is going to index that site, is going to get it. Now, you can optimize it for SEO, which is going to bring it more traffic. You can leave it as is. It's up to you. But you can also create a Facebook ad, right? So let's say you have Google ads, and then you have FB ads, also, using basically, another way of advertising it. Okay, so it's really up to you. In my opinion, this is the best way of doing it. But I would definitely do something like this, where I will have a blog, and then it's very easy, like monetizing this content it becomes natural, right? It becomes a natural process, because this is what a lot of people do anyway. But what a lot of people do is they create an email opt-in, and you can do that, or you can basically monetize it, right? So you can do it, you can have some pages where you're getting emails, and then you can have some pages where you are basically creating this content locking offers. So in my opinion, this is the best way of doing it. Now, once you sign up to one of these networks, you can go and get some of their content locking offers. Now, what I really like about this method is, if you're thinking about, let's say, surveys, right? Survey sweepstakes. It's really hard to create a site around surveys or sweepstakes, because let's say I have a site, something like this. I cannot really say, hey, click here to fill out the survey and, win some iPhone. Now, potentially for this, I can actually do it. But the problem with surveys is that it's linked to a specific offer. So, it's very hard. I need to create a site about, people who are interested in just filling out surveys, right? But the good thing about content locking is it's applicable to pretty much almost any site, because it doesn't really matter what my site is about. In this case, it's about vlogging, but maybe your site is about finance. It's about day trading. It's about foreign exchange, Forex, or maybe it's about making money online. You can still pretty much use any content locking offer, because the offer itself is not connected to the content. So I have my content, it's about topic A, and the offer could be about topic B. They're not connected, because basically on my page, I basically tell them, hey, do you want to basically view this PDF or this video? Okay, and then if you want to watch it, go and do this, and they go and do something else, right? Because the offer, the actual content of the site and the offer is disconnected. So this makes it a lot more flexible and versatile of promoting these kinds of offers on your content site, right? It makes it a lot better. Whereas for vlogging, I gotta go to Max Bounty and find like very similar offers, because I cannot really promote sweepstakes. I cannot really promote surveys on something like this, because a person that's interested in vlogging, they're not gonna go fill out some sweepstakes, some random sweepstakes, because that's something else completely. It's not really connected about vlogging. You guys get what I'm saying. I hope I'm explaining it clear enough. But whereas if you create a content site, it doesn't really matter what you do. The content locking offer is separate, because you're locking your piece of content, and then they have to proceed with an action that is not really related to this. So in my opinion, it makes it a lot more versatile and flexible. And like I said before, you can create any kind of content locking offer that you want. It's very simple, it's very easy. And so I would recommend, if you're interested in this, you want to test this out, play around with this, you should sign up to some of these networks, get a couple of offers, and then see if you can promote them on a piece of content that you own. So you can go out and search for PLR content, and you will get a lot of results, right? What is PLR content? You have a site. So there's I found a site called PLR content, 13,000 white label pieces of content, right? And you can find anything that you want on this site, essentially, right? You can find whatever you want. And so that is one option to go with. Or you can create your own site like I did. So new to PLR, looking for PLR, you can learn anything you want, and basically you will be able to get content. There's a lot of these sites. This is just one example. And so you should have no excuse not to try with this, because now you understand the traffic sources, you understand where you're going to get the content, and you don't need to code anything at all, because you're able to get offers here where you basically insert a piece of code, and that's going to lock up a piece of your content. And so that is kind of how I would do it. This is the diagram I have. I have the visitor, Google search, website, content locking, a premium piece of content. So it's very important to realize you don't want to lock up the whole blog article, or you don't want to lock up the whole piece of content, whether it's a video or podcast or something. Because if you lock up the whole thing, it's not going to be indexed by Google search. You want to lock up just the extra one, so that way your whole 5,000 word article, your ultimate guide or whatever, is actually indexed by Google search. And if they want something extra, then they have to pay for it, and that's perfectly fine with me. I think it's a perfectly good idea. And so that's kind of how it's going to work. And you have some networks here. And I also want to share with you a bonus feature, okay? So those of you who are actually interested in making a bit more money or a lot more money with this, is that what you can do is you can basically purchase websites on a network, kind of a website market called Flippa, which is one of the bigger ones. You can purchase a site there, get the site, and basically lock up a bunch of content, and either have a site that's now generating more money automatically without you doing any work, without you doing any additional work, or you can actually sell the site for a bigger multiple. So if you're not aware, you can actually buy and sell sites by a particular multiple. So if, let's say, a site is making $1,000 a month, there's a certain multiple at play. So you can sell a site for potentially for $30,000 a month, or $25,000 or $35,000. So that multiple could be from 20 to 30 times your monthly earnings. And so let's say you purchase a site for that's making $100 a month, right? Let's say you purchase it for a 30x multiple, and you pay $3,000. Well, guess what? You put a bunch of content locking offers, and maybe that site starts to make $200 or $300 or $500 a month. Okay, and now you sell it for a bigger multiple, right? You basically took a site, monetized it a little bit more, and sold it for more. Or you can keep the site, and it could pay back a lot faster. And that is a really good method of actually making a bunch of money quicker. There's a lot more methods, and I'm going to make more videos about it, but for content locking, this is a very quick method. All right, guys, so that's kind of all I have for you today. A real nice overview how content locking works, how the logistics of it, how to get a traffic source, how to pick an offer, and I recommend trying different offers. As well as the strategy, how to actually lock the content, how to actually, whether you want to create your own content or build content and things like that. And so now you have a good picture, an overall picture of using this very, very powerful method, in my opinion. And then if you want to go further, you can actually buy a site, content lock pieces of it, and then sell it, or enjoy a much bigger revenue stream from it. So I hope you've gotten some value from this video. I hope you learned something new, hopefully. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely click the like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And that's pretty much all I have for you today. So thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.